What's going on, guys? We have Ninja Turtles issue 14, and again, we're working with a new writer and new artist. So we have Gene, he's our writer, and Freddie Williams as our artist, and both have done a really good job so far. Uh, just to kind of give us a little quick recap, we've found out that Splinter is back. We found that out a couple issues ago. Karai brought him back, and he has taken on the persona of the Ujigame. And what he's doing is he's going around and just murdering people for reasons. I guess not reasons, but he is trying to protect his sons. And by trying to protect them, he's going around murdering. He murdered like a mob boss, and also attempted to murder Baxter Stockman, which we will find out he did survive. And I didn't think that he died. For somebody as high profile as Baxter to be killed, they would be a much bigger deal about like his death. He got a couple throwing knives in him, and then Mikey had to watch over him while the other three go after the Ujigame and try to stop him. So I think it would have been a much bigger deal. So let's just get right on into it. This is Ujigame Part 2. Like I said, Gene and Freddie working together here. And our first set of panels here, we're in a New York courtroom. And Lao Ban, he is being tried for like manslaughter and is found not guilty. And if you remember now, if he was in the 2011 series, I never got to that part yet where he's in, but we did meet him in the Casey Jones spinoff series, and is kind of working with Casey. So it looks like everything on the Casey Jones side gets tied up here, and we'll find out why here in a second. So yeah, he is found not guilty. Everybody is not exactly pleased by this in the audience, and one of the audience members is Leo. Now, he is there all by himself, and he is talking about how he can't believe that he has to protect Lao Ban. But just then, the Ujigame shows up and says, "I am your death," and it's trying to kill Lao over here. Leonardo intercepts, and the Ujigame, he's just like, Leo, what are you doing? I'm your greatest ally, kind of thing. And Leo says what he's doing is dishonorable, to try and execute a man in a courtroom. It's very dishonorable. We're trying to go with the honorable justice way. And now, Lao, he takes this opportunity to slash at the guard and start attacking people. And I got a huge issue with that. He was found not guilty. Why is he attacking people? The next time he ends up in a courtroom, it's going to be because of this, right? So, and there's witnesses all over the place that are going to go against him. Now, I'm assuming that by him getting the not guilty, it's because he's got some leverage over somebody, whether it's intimidation or being paid off or something. But for that many witnesses to see him attacking not only this guard here, but the victim's mother, that's real stupid. I have no idea. Now, the only reason why this happens is we'll see here in a second. Now, Leonardo is distracted with him and is now taking his focus off the Ujigame. So now Leonardo's having to fight Lao to protect the innocent over here, and this opens up a window for the Ujigame to go ahead and kill Lao. So yeah, he's not going to be back in the courtroom. He's dead. And so that's what I'm like, okay, the only reason why we had Lao do this is so Leo could be distracted and Lao can die. Now, I think a better way to rework this one would have just made it to where the Ujigame goes ahead and still kills Lao. Leonardo fails because the Ujigame, or Splinter, knows all of Leonardo's tactics, being that he taught Leo all of this, so he can counter it, and he's still able to get to his target. Uh, so I would have redone that a little bit. Also, how is Leonardo able to get his swords into the courtroom? Uh, I've been into our courthouse over here in my state, uh, and you got to go through some metal detectors. Last I knew, his blades are made of steel and would have set off metal detectors. Now, you could maybe headcanon that because he's a well-known hero by this point, that maybe they allowed it. Unlikely, but it's possible. And I would have just liked to have seen how he managed to get his blades in. Or maybe he just kind of snuck in and nobody knows that he's there. Just something to let me know how he has blades within the courthouse itself. Did he go in there through like metal detectors, or did he just kind of sneak in? If he snuck in, fine, so be it. But I would have preferred that we saw that he did that. That way I'm not doing this very thing, questioning his blades being there. But yeah, this is a major flaw. Because this does have consequences for the remainder of this. You know, Leonardo is going to take this pretty hard that he failed to protect Lao. And then, yeah, the Ujigame, he goes ahead after once again telling him, "I'm your greatest ally." Goes ahead and pisses right off. And we do see like this like demon cat looking thing kind of watching over and is pretty happy. So there's more going on with this cat than just simply being a little rodent catcher on the streets. Meanwhile, yeah, we got Baxter. He's in a hospital bed. His vitals look to be okay. He's at least stable. And we got April watching, standing guard. A little tap at the door, and she grabs the hockey stick. And again, I'm still not the biggest fan of her kind of taking over what, you know, Casey's known for. You see a hockey stick in the Ninja Turtle universe, you're thinking Casey Jones, not April O'Neil. I would have just liked her to have something a little different to kind of separate her and Casey. But she goes and investigates the noise and sees that it's Mikey, and she kind of yells at him like, "I thought you were the Ujigame finally coming to, finish off Stockman. What the hell are you doing?" And he's like, "Well, Leo wants us all to meet up on the roof." So what we're seeing is the reason why Leo was by himself at the courthouse is everybody had to separate, and each person was watching over like an enemy force for the turtles. So Raph was out there watching Old Hob. Donnie was watching the Earth Protection Force. Mikey, the Dogstar Clan. Casey with the Purple Dragons. And of course, April with Baxter Stockman. And we do see that Raph had an encounter with the Ujigame and was able to actually fight him off, and Old Hob still lives. And, you know, Leo takes this to heart. He's like, so I'm the first one to fail protecting somebody. You know, he's supposed to be the leader. He's supposed to be the most skilled, and he's the one that fails. And it's actually Raph that kind of comes to him and is like, "Hey, look, man, this Ujigame guy, he's not an easy customer. You know, it took everything I had just to throw him off, and I was lucky just to get away with just a scratch on the arm." And Mikey backs up Raph and is like, "Yeah, he seems to know all of our moves before, you know, we even think them. You know, he's there to counter us every step of the way." And I would say that it would make sense that Raph was able to fight off, being that he also spent some time doing things on his own outside of outside of the rest of the guys. When he was like working with Casey and all that. So he might have had some external skills that he could utilize to kind of help in his fight that Splinter wouldn't automatically be able to counter. So I think that all lines up fairly well there. And then they go on to talk about how maybe it wasn't the greatest idea to split up. That, you know, they would have had a much better chance countering the Ujigame had they all been together. And Leo's like, "Well, what was I supposed to do? You know, we don't know where he was going to go, first. So we had a divide and conquer kind of thing and figure out what his plans are. And that's when April chimes in and is like, well, like you guys said, bigger number, greater odds to counter him. And you guys are kind of neglecting the biggest target. And they're like, yeah, we were kind of avoiding this one for a multitude of reasons. One, they're the most heavily fortified. Two, it's hard to counter them when we're trying to fight with them and not just simply protect them. So it's like, yeah, if we go over there, we're going to have to fight them, and we're going to have to counter the Ujigame. And of course, what we're talking about is the Foot Clan. Of course. And it's like, well, I see no way around this. We are going to have to, at some point, make our way over there. So that is the plan in action. We then catch up with Splinter, and he has like some sort of spiritual tree, and he's talking about pruning, and then we see like an image of Lao Ban there. And he is talking with like an astral form of Tang Shen, which of course, for those who don't know, that was his wife in a previous life before Hamato Yoshi died along with his sons, and they all reincarnated to what we know now. So he is talking about, killing the enemies of his sons and things like that, and that everybody will be reunited. And it's very vague, so we're not exactly sure what he's talking about when he's telling her this. Like, is he planning on returning to the afterworld? Or, what's going on here? I'm not entirely certain, and we'll see what happens as time goes on. Meanwhile, we're over at the Foot Clan base, and we see the turtles knocked out a couple guards and are sneaking in. And there's that damn cat all over again, and he seems very pleased. He or she, whichever. Karai is having dinner, and then she starts speaking out loud because she is not unaware of the turtles sneaking in. And she's kind of irritated. She's like, I only have, my meals to have a little bit of time to myself, and this is when you guys come in. What the fuck? And they're like, believe us, we don't want to be here at all, but your life is in danger. For which Karai says, yeah, somebody's life's in danger, but it's not mine. And she snaps her finger, and in walk Bebop and Rocksteady. The duo over here, they start throwing some snide remarks Donnie's way about, what's cracking, how the shell are ya, kind of stuff. And it makes Donnie a little uncomfortable, and for those who don't know, it is referenced here in the 2011 run on issue 44. Those two beat the absolute piss out of Donnie, and he had to transfer his body, his consciousness over to Metalhead's robot body. And this was done through Professor Honeycutt. He was able to help in this, and this is why he has a metal shell. It's because these two beat the absolute shit out of him. And so that is, again, referenced down here. And his discomfort doesn't last long. He is the first to attack. And I do like that we didn't make him like some scared little weakling, that he's like, you know what, fuck you guys, I don't give a fuck. And so a big old fight ensues, and they're still, we see Mikey over here, he's trying to still reach out to Karai. Like seriously, we're not here to stir some shit up with you. We're actually here on your behalf to try and defend you. Your life is in danger. She's not hearing it. She just ignores him and then tells Bebop and Rocksteady when they're done here to go ahead and clean up her table. She's going to go off to her dojo. So that's failed there. But then they continue to try and reach to Bebop and Rocksteady. Like, look, your boss lady, she's in trouble. We just want to help. We really don't want to fight. But of course, Bebop and Rocksteady, they're a couple of dipshits, and they're not going to listen to him either. And they're just going to try and smash some turtles. And Raph's like, remind me, Leo, why are we doing this again? And it's like, because we're looking for honorable justice, not dishonor. Assassinations, that's dishonorable. This is what our father has taught us. And that line is, of course, going to play, it's going to have an effect somewhere down the line when they figure out that Splinter is, one, back, and two, that he's the Ujigame. I'm sure that's going to have a whole lot of relevance later on down the road. And of course, the alarm goes off while they're all fighting, and Bebop and Rocksteady know that this means that Karai is in trouble. So the six go to her aid. They bust through a wall because that's the quickest way there. And I do like that there was a sense of urgency. Like, oh no, we're not going to look for a door. Our leader's, she's in trouble. That's just bust through a wall. We can do that. And sure enough, the Ujigame's got blades right to Karai's neck. And she is just barely able to hold him off. Leo throws a star and hits him in the hand. And that's just enough for Karai to, get free, throw an elbow, and get out. And instead of running, she grabs a weapon, and she decides she's going to stay and fight. And so it is a 7-on-1 now. Now the Ujigame throws some swords. He manages to lodge them in Bebop and Rocksteady, and Karai is able to block them. Now their hide is thick, as mentioned here, and he's like, well, let's just see how thick it is. Donnie, out of all of them, gets in the way and protects Rocksteady, and takes on the Ujigame himself. And this is when Leo starts to notice something. The Ujigame has an opportunity to, stab and hurt Donnie, but does not take it. And as we see, he is quick. He moves very fast, and he does not waste time killing. He's kind of reflecting on the words that were said to him earlier. I imagine it is actually not blatantly said here, but you can make that connection. And sees, he's going right back to attacking Karai here, and then reflects on what was said from Raph that he just got cut. He's like, maybe that wasn't just a lucky thing. Maybe that was more intentional. And so we see Karai is now on the ground, and the throwing knives are ready, and Leo pulls a dramatic move. He gets in the way of the blades. He's got a hunch here, and he's testing out his theory. The blades go into his shoulder. The Ujigame is not at all, he's very unhappy with what just happened. He's saddened by this and shocked. And this does make him go away. He disappears in a puff of smoke. And, Leo, he's fine. He's just stabbed in the shoulder. And I guess everybody here, this is the last panel of everybody else together. They decide to go about their separate ways, and then we catch up with Karai in her bedroom, and that cat comes over. Now she's not falling for it. She's like, okay, whatever tricks you're up to, just go ahead and cut the charade. And this cat says that it's that Ujigame is kind of like the key that Karai needs for her freedom, and she's more or less like, I'm listening. And this cat then reveals its true form and says, Shinigami is here to help. And so, from the way that this looks, I do believe that this is an introduction to this character. The way that we get the stylized lettering for the name and whatnot. If this was an established character from the 2011 series, I have yet to encounter this one. So that is where we're at here. We then cut over back to the turtle lair, and Leo's getting bandaged up, and they're like, Leo, what the hell was that all about? And he was like, I was testing a theory, and Raph's like, what? For how, what's the dumbest move you could possibly think of? For which Leo's like, hey, easy with the bandages. That's kind of smart. And Raph's like, you know what? This is what Father would have done. And enter Splinter. He says, I don't think so. I believe he would have let it breathe for a bit and then made an offering of thanks that it wasn't another 3 inches to the right. And then reaches out and calls to his sons, for which obviously all four are very surprised. And then very, happy and relieved to see their dad in the world of the living. And they're just like, how is this possible? And that's what Leo asked. And Mikey's like, who cares, And Leo's like, you know what? You're right. Who cares? And so we see a nice little family reunion. And it's nice to see that happens. And I gotta admit, it hits a little bit right here. to see a family get reunited like that. If you ever see like the military reunited videos online, you can kind of get an idea of how heartwarming this experience is. And that's where we end here. A bit tismy in the beginning with Lao Ban and that whole courtroom thing. I feel like we could have just worked that a little bit differently. Just had Leo straight up fail and not just be distracted. I think we can understand how the Ujigame would get the better of Leo, being that it is Master Splinter. Like, that is something we know. And you could have had Leo just straight fail there. And not just simply be distracted because Lao decided to attack everybody for reasons. He was already a free man. He was found not guilty. He was going to walk. Why have him do that? So that is a bit on the Tismy side. But otherwise, a fairly strong issue. I still don't know why Karai brought back Splinter. And I remember thinking that the whole Ujigame thing, that was like her doing. That she was Splinter was working on her behalf to kind of go out and thin out some like leaders and make her a more powerful presence. But being that one, he attacked her and she does not seem to understand at all who he is and whatnot. I think there's a reason to stand now. It is possible that that there is a recognition here, and maybe he's turned on her. There is some leeway here that they maybe had a conversation before the Turtles and Bebop and Rocksteady walk in on this panel. Maybe there was a conversation. Maybe she does know that this is Splinter. It's all still possible, but it doesn't look like it at this moment. So I'm not sure what his purpose being back in this world is, because we don't see what happened after she brings him back. So I'm very curious to see how that gets resolved there, what kind of answers we're going to get. Was her bringing him back a mistake? Was this not who she was trying to reach to and just managed to get him instead? I don't know. But yeah, like I said, probably at least, 8 out of 10, if I'm being pretty generous. Like I said, that whole bit in the beginning, a bit tismy, and I just feel like we could have reworked that a little bit better. But otherwise, I'm very satisfied with this main line so far. And I've said it before, I think it was issue 3 has been like the weakest so far. Otherwise, this has been a very strong series. And I would recommend following this main line. But that is all I have for today, guys. So until next time, take care and God bless.